that is National Institute of Secondary Steel Technology. Uh, Paramjit sir is a metallurgy engineer from Punjab Engineering College with over 25 years of experience in the steel sector. Under his leadership, NIST has advanced technology adoption, energy efficiency, sustainability in the secondary steel industry. Our third panelist and speaker, I would like to call upon Ms. Supriya Bansal. Ms. Supriya Bansal is the partner Global Sustainability Head, AVA Insights. Ms. Supriya Bansal is a chartered accountant from India and a chartered management accountant from UK. She is a partner with AVA for global ESG services. She is a finance leader with sustainability as a catalyst. She specializes in carbon credits, sustainability reporting, green steel taxonomy, and BRSR, driving transformative and ESG solutions for climate clients across India. Our next panelist, I would like to call upon Mr. Anirban Chatterjee, Head Business Strategy and Development, Bureau Veritas. Mr. Anirban is a sustainability professional with over 16 years of experience in digital innovation, ESG strategy, sustainability finance, and risk management. He holds a bachelor's engineering degree in mechanical engineering from WPUT and a postgraduate diploma in financial management from NMIS India. Our last speaker is Mr. Anirudh Iyer. I would like to call upon Mr. Anirudh Iyer on the stage. Mr. Anirudh Iyer is a senior price reporter with S&P Global Commodity Insights. Mr. Anirudh Iyer is based on Delhi and covers Asia Pacific carbon markets. He focuses on the voluntary carbon markets, carbon dioxide removal, and compliances frameworks like CORSIA, Article 6, along with emerging domestic markets. I welcome everybody on the stage and I welcome everybody for a good afternoon. I think this is the first session after lunch, so people will be a bit in that stage, but we will try to make it as informative, as talkative as possible. So we welcome everybody to the session on Indian carbon credit trading schemes and green steel. So as India moves decisively towards a 2070 goal, net zero goal, there are two pillars of this market. One is the carbon credit trading scheme, which is being run by BE as the nodal agency in India, and steel industry being one of the pillars of the Indian market. The green steel taxonomy also plays a very important role. Today we are going to see the convergence, how these two market mechanisms can help in achieving the India's net zero goal. As I told you, India is very advanced in terms of taking its climate goals. So the COP30 has also started, and in the COP, India has also taken one of the very major roles by starting the CCTS market, the Indian market, where there will be two types of market. One would be for obligated entities, the second is for the voluntary carbon market. Apart from these markets, the COP will also start two more markets, which is called as Article 6.2 market and Article 6.4 market. India has taken very good steps in operationalizing Article 6.2. We have recently signed a joint crediting mechanism, that is JCM, with Japan. India is in very advanced talks to have the same 6.2 mechanism with countries like Singapore, South Korea, and Sweden. Under Article 6.2, the government has identified a list of 13 activities which are eligible for direct carbon credits under the 6.2 and 6.4 mechanism. We as MRAI and the recycling industry would also like the government to look at recycling as an activity which will be there in the positive list of Article 6.2. Even in the Indian CCTS, we would like all the recycling activities to come as a direct positive list to be able to generate carbon credits in this market. With this, I would like Paramjit Singh sir to start his presentation on green steel, sir. Please, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. As it is very well said that this is the afternoon session, and after having such a good food, maybe some people will be in a sleeping mood, and we'll try our best to keep you alive. So as I told you that this institute, National Institute of Secondary Steel Technology, this institute is established by Ministry of Steel in 1987. And at that time, the objective was only to reduce the energy consumption in the re-rolling sector. As time passes, now this is the only institute which is only taking care of the HR needs of the secondary sector, and we are working for iron making, that is covering sponge iron. Steel making, we cover induction furnace as well as the arc furnace, and rolling mill, covering all the products from TMT to the structure, whatever the products are being produced, we are providing the services to the sector. So our head office is in Mandi Govindgarh, and where we have 6-acre land, and our building is of 7,000 square meter area is covered, where we have administrative building and technical block and laboratories to provide the service for the industry. Main aim and objective of the institute is to provide the technical trained manpower to improve the capacity building of the sector, because when we say to provide the technical manpower to improve their capacity building. So I know that you people are hiring engineers also, BSc or any, you can say 10+2 people for your sector. But whenever they are working in the industry, I have seen that whenever we are going for giving the training in the plants, I have seen that many of them doesn't know what they are doing, why they are doing. That is the main reason that they, whatever have been taught to them by the seniors or their, you can say, gurus, they are working in that mind frame only. So when we visited industry, since my, you can say, after taking my, whenever I take, since October last year, I have taken around more than 10 trainings in the plant. So I have seen that people who are working on the shop floor, they don't know at what temperature they should cast tap their material. Because energy efficiency is not only applying the equipments in the plant. It's like how to handle the equipments and to understand what exactly and if you're going for the melting process, you should know at what temperature you should feed the ferroalloys or any other additives. That is very much important in that case. And I have seen that many of them doesn't know. So when we are interacting with them, they don't know about the defects in the continuous casting. They don't know what type of defects are further impacting the rolling mill also. So we are teaching them. So that's why I think this is the major area where all the industries need to focus on to train their manpower to improve their overall efficiency of the plant. Under industrial services, we are I just go to the next slide. Major verticals, human resources, then industrial services and the industrial consultancy. Under industrial consultancy, we are providing the services in the field of energy efficiency. We are providing the services in the field of safety audits. We are continuously, you can say, whenever we are conducting the audits based on the observations, we give the recommendations and we handhold the units as per their requirement to improve and apply the recommendations for the continual improvement of the plant. We are accredited by the Bureau of Energy Efficiency for the energy audits as well as the M&B audits for the under CCTS scheme. And we are also recognized by the competent persons for the safety inspection and safety audits from by many of the states like Punjab, then Diu Daman. We are also authorized by the Chhattisgarh government also and Kerala government. We are going to the industry and conduct their audits because safety is the major factor which is going to, because if the environment is safe and the manpower is working safely, that is directly going to impact the overall efficiency of the plant. In addition to this, we have recognized lab for 63 products where we cover 63 Indian standards out of the 151 notified by the Ministry of Steel, and we are providing the services Pan India for the testing of these services. And we are the member of BIS committees. We are the member of National Safety Council as well as the technical committees of the CCTS. The major service what we are providing right now is the Green Steel certification, which is being notified by the Ministry of Steel in December 2024. And after the notification, we have developed the Excel sheet for the calculation of CO2 per ton of the finished steel as per the CCTS guidelines. And as on date, we have around more than 82 units registered with us. In-house training program, I have told that in in-house training program, we are working on the operational efficiency. We provide the training on energy efficiency, safe working practices, covering the sponge iron area, steel making, continuous casting. I have seen that because continuous casting is the major area which need to be, you can say, where manpower need to be trained a lot. Earlier, whenever we are rolling the material, we used to heat our billets or blooms or you can say ingots in the reheating furnace and we are rolling it. But now, at that time, we used to say the reheating furnace is the heart of the rolling mill, but now the heart has been shifted to the continuous casting because we are rolling these hot cast billet directly into the rolling mill. So we need to understand the concept of the CCM because some of the defects which is developing in the stage of the continuous casting that affects in the rolling mill. That need to be understand. For that, manpower need to be trained in that case. We are also providing the consultancy or the services in the combustion studies or induction furnace की आपकी पूरी performance study we can conduct the studies and further help you to improve that. Another service we have started now the CO2 evaluation and its measures and to handhold you to further reduce their emissions that we can under the CCTS scheme whatever the process is followed by CCTS we give the training in that fashion. The major is the green steel taxonomy. So green steel taxonomy basically, if you see what is green steel, any steel producer who is producing the steel with the emission less than 2.2 ton CO2 per ton of the finished steel is called the green steel. And this is the notification which is issued by the Government of India on 23rd December. And under this scheme, basically, if you are producing the steel less than 2.2 ton of the 2 ton of the CO2 per ton of the finished steel, that is green steel, and if you are producing in between the range of 2 to 2.2, then it is called the 3-star, and if it is in the range of 1.6 to 2, then it is called the 4-star, and if it is less than 1.6, then it is called the 5-star steel. And the scopes which is covered under this regarding the certification process, you can visit to our website, and we have developed the portal also that is called greensteelcertification.in. You can directly visit our portal and register over there, where after registering the portal, automatically a auditor will be issued to you with whom you can interact and give the work order, and after the audit, the report will be submitted online, which will be evaluated by the NIST, and certificates will be issued. And the certification fee is 2 rupees per ton of the finished steel, whatever is your production. And the validity of this certificate is for the financial year, because if you are getting this audit done, then whatever the certificate is issued, that will be applicable till March of 26. Again, next year you have to re-evaluate your you can say data to get the green steel certificate. But the registration fee, what is being paid by the units, that is a one-time fee. That is will not be you can charge every year. After you can say after the allocation of the accredited certificated evaluator, a work order need to be issued by the unit to the auditor, and within the 20 days, auditor has to submit the report to us. And once the report is submitted, if all the data is in line, or you can say correct as desired by the NIST, then within a week the certificate is issued to do. You can say that within a month, if you register and with us, within a month you will get the certificate for the green steel. The emission part, which is covered under this green steel taxonomy, is the scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. And I hope all of you understand that what is scope 1. Scope 1 is the direct emissions, which is under the control of in the site. That is called the scope 1, means the direct emission which is taking place. And indirect emissions are only emissions regarding the power what you are taking from the grid, or any other steam or heat you are purchasing from outside. That covers under scope 2. And limited scope 3 here is basically if you are purchasing your DRI from the outside, so you need to know what is the emission for the production of DRI per ton of the DRI. Because then, what does it mean? Because whenever you are purchasing your raw materials from the outside, you need to ask them what is their emission per ton of the DRI or per ton of the coke, if you are using the coke in your process, or any material like ferroalloys. If you are using the ferroalloys also, you need to understand or you to know what is the emission per ton of the ferroalloy. So means you need to be very much careful while purchasing the raw material from outside. Now some of the rolling mills have approached to us that to get the green steel certification, then what we are asking them to give us the emission per ton of the billet or the ingot what they are using. So they are facing the problem in that case. So we have started these services also. If somebody is interested who has a standalone induction furnace and is producing ingot or billet, so we are providing the services to them to calculate their CO2 emission per ton of the product, so that it can be given to the further rolling mill industry to get the green steel certificate. Because if you are producing the billet by using the scrap, definitely the billet which is produced by using the scrap and is used by the rolling mill, they will be eligible for the green steel certificate. So this is the overall sheet what we have developed, where if you once you will register with us, we will share the sheet with you. Sheet will carry, you need to give you the general information of your plant, and based on the instructions given in the sheet, you have to give the inputs of the plant capacities and the emission factor of the purchased material. If you know the emission factor of the purchased material, you need to add that values over there. If you are not having any, you can say, inputs on that, then default factors will be considered for the calculation of the CO2 emissions. And we are covering all the electricity, steel making sheet is different, and rolling mill sheet is different. And based on that, all the reports is being prepared and shared with us. With this, I thank you very much for patience listening. And if you have any, you can say doubt, you can contact me on this number, and you can send your mail on these 3 mail IDs so that we can connect you as and when required. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paranjit sir, for such a wonderful presentation. I have personally, we have been consulting 2-3 steel plants on the process, and I can assure you, sir, the support from NIST is very amazing. Out of this, we have got 2 certificates from them, and the timeline, sir, which we have mentioned, and the support which we get from your team is very amazing. And they go out of the way to educate what is needed and what is there, and the kind of green steel taxonomy which we have come, I think all the secondary steel and all the steel industry should take advantage of this. With this, I would like to call upon Harsh from Centra World to give his presentation on green steel.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I can see some active faces, some sleepy faces. Whoever is feeling sleepy, please stand up once and sit down, and you will feel a little more active. Okay, but I won't force you to do that, but I will talk about green steel. We have a very distinguished panel here today. Yash, thank you for getting us together. Thank you to MRAI for organizing this wonderful event, and doing it in Goa always helps, doesn't it? So we'll start with that. Now, just a little bit about Centra World. We are India's #1 carbon accounting consultancy focused on the steel sector. This is the only sector that we work in. We focus on sustainability in steel. That's the only thing that we do. We are what we call a digital native, which means that we put technology first. A lot of work that we do is via our digital platform, which is enabled by AI and blockchain and all of that. We cover all sort of carbon accounting consultancy, including ISO certifications, CCTS, green steel taxonomy that Paramjit sir was just talking about, many others, ESG reporting, EPDs and all of that. I myself have spent a long time in management consulting. I was a partner with McKinsey and Company before this. We are 100% made in India. We are doing most of our work in India, registered in India. And we have the pleasure of having about close to, I think the number says 60, but it's actually closer to 75 steel companies on board our platform today. In terms of our solutions, wide range of solutions, but I'll touch on a few of them. The digital platform is essential because there's a lot of data today. There's a very common saying that most companies, they use only 1% of all the data that they capture. And that's something that we really want to change. We want to ensure that your decisions on sustainability are enabled by data. That's why we have these digital platforms which connect with your data systems, extract data from there, and do all the carbon accounting calculations, certifications, connect with your suppliers, automate the whole process so that you don't need to worry about, carbon emissions reporting, certification, and all of that. And, Centra.Certify ties well into, excuse me, to what Paramjit ji was talking about, which is the entire NIST certification. So we prepare all of the data, which then easily the NIST team can audit and review and issue certificates. We also help you simulate and build out your net zero journeys, net zero roadmaps. Recently, we've started helping steel companies trade for their steel as well. This is a snapshot of some clients. It's a pleasure to have a lot of our clients in this room as well. I see Mr. Ashwini Bhatia, who's been a very strong supporter of ours. We see our team from Agni Steel also over here, who have recently got their green steel certification. So it's a pleasure to see you over here. I see our team from RL Steel also. So many companies over here. We work with large companies, small companies, SAIL, JSPL, JSW, and all of that. Now, coming into the content of what we're supposed to do over here, right? So, see, we all know that our CO2 emissions are high, 2.5 tons of CO2 per ton of steel. Old news. What do we do about it? The way we look at it is we look at sustainability not as a cost center, but as a profit center. And that's really the mindset shift that we need to create. Getting yourself certified is step one. But after that, we have to see how green products, your low CO2 emission steel, is actually creating positive value by avoiding carbon tax. There are certain geographies like Europe, and now even in India, if you, with the CCTS coming on, if you're able to have low emissions, you can avoid certain carbon taxes, creates a competitive margin advantage. Secondly, there's a price premium, right? I'll show you an example a little later where now green steel, and yesterday, Tarun and some of the other members, they were holding a session when they talked about from RMI, they talked about a green steel premium. So this is definitely, it's not theory, it's for today. Sustainable organizations, you do get better valuations, you do get lower interest rate if you are seen as more sustainable. And there's enough proof of that. JSW had raised a big round of about $500 million with a lower interest rate. There are multiple case examples over there as well. And we look at decarbonization in 3 steps. So first you measure, then you mitigate or reduce, and finally monetize. My favorite part is obviously the monetization part, because that's where you really bring all your efforts to bear, which means this is where it hits the top line or the bottom line, and ultimately, as business owners, this is what we are really concerned about. Just going a little deep into, Paramjit sir talked a little bit about the green steel certification. I'll open it up a little broader, and I'll talk a little bit about all the multiple certifications which are available today on the topic of sustainability for steel companies. Large companies, large steel companies would have come under the PAT cycle, Perform, Achieve, and Trade, which is now being replaced by the CCTS, Carbon Credit Trading Scheme. So this is, if you're nominated under there, you need to go by it, you need to reduce your emissions, and there's a carbon credits play associated with it, but do it only if you're part of it. Second is the baseline survey. This is something which has been floated by the Ministry of Steel, and later on, this will also, there is a sustainable steel scheme which is being launched by the government as well. Hopefully it should happen over the next 6 months or so. So you'll see some benefits of that as well. If you're exporting to Europe, you need to adhere to CBAM. And finally, there's BRSR. If you're in the top 1,000 listed companies of the country, then you need to do your ESG reporting. There are various voluntary compliances as well. Green Steel Taxonomy, it is voluntary but highly recommended. Various ISO certifications, which I think my colleague Aarti talked a little bit about EPDs a little earlier today. She had a good presentation on that. EPDs and LCAs, those are things which are meaningful, especially if your customer demands it. So for TMT players, if you want to get, if your customers, builders are planning to get LEED green, green building certification, this is important for them. So you'll be better placed if you actually have a LEED certification there. And again, I think we had a team from CII here as well. So there's the Green Pro certifications. The most important thing to take away is not what you should do, but what you should not do. Right? Be careful about how many certifications you go out and get and how they will be meaningful. Otherwise, what will happen is that you will gather all your certificates and see no impact, and you will start to lose faith. So be very clear about which certification you're getting and how it's going to help you. This was talked about yesterday as well, but I'll reiterate it. The formula for green steel today is recycled steel or scrap steel plus renewable energy. Other technologies are further out. Their time will come, but today, if you have control on scrap, if you have control on renewable energy, that is the only profitable path to green steel. And MRAI and the broader metal recycling, material recycling ecosystem is so crucial to developing green steel, because without scrap, there is no green steel. So we've been talking about, green steel as a concept for, 5, 7, 8 years. But it's no longer just a concept, it's reality now, and particularly in India. And I say this with a lot of pride, that India is a country which is actually taking very positive steps towards this whole topic. We've done a lot of estimates, and we feel that the green steel market in India over the next 3 to 5 years is going to be about 20 million tons. 50% of this will come from the public sector, 50% will come from the private sector. There are leading players like I work closely with Infosys. Infosys is readily looking out for green steel. RMI team over here will tell us that Lodha, as one of the largest builders, is looking out for green steel. Volvo is one of our clients. They are also actively searching for green castings, which essentially come from green steel. So there's enough demand. We see green steel premium to be in the range of about 5 to 10%. So, about, if you talk in dollar terms, about $30 to $60, that range. Definitely, I don't see it as a $200 per ton range. That's probably way too much. But somewhere in the range of 5 to 10%. और जैसे बोलते हैं ये हमारा हक है. अगर आप green steel बना रहे हैं तो ये आपका हक है. This is something that you should not feel shy about asking, right? And when you start to export, for players over here who are who are using scrap, upwards of 50%, you are very well positioned. You should start exploring export opportunities. We did a lot of simulations over here, and we discovered that in different parts of the world, you can get an advantage of anywhere between $10 to $80 per ton of steel, depending on what CO2 intensity you have. So for anybody who is producing steel using a green route, I suggest don't just play in the domestic market, actively start looking at the international market as well. And as I said earlier, recycled steel users are best positioned to capture this opportunity. I'll spend just a couple of more minutes. I know my time is ending, but give me 2 minutes. So the green steel mandate, we talked about the public procurement. So the government today procures about 40 million tons of steel for various PSUs. The Ministry of Steel and with the Ministry of Power, Ministry of Finance has come up with this very nice scheme around the green public procurement, which is supposed to start in FY 2028. It is mandated that 26% of all steel which is purchased will have to be 3-star, 4-star or 5-star. This is where NIST comes in. NIST has taken that early advantage and said that I'm going to take the next 1 or 2 years to prepare everybody. That's very and to test. In the private sector, when we look at it, why does the private sector need it? If I'm a large builder, 40% of the total emissions, and this is something that ARS Steel also talked about earlier today. If you're making a building, 50% of the emissions happen when you're constructing because of all the raw material, and 50% is because of all the usage of, energy and all of that. Builders are working on a metric called kgs of CO2 per meter square. And that is what we need to reduce. We need to help them reduce that, because once they reduce that, that is the time that they can avoid carbon taxes. They can get a better customer value proposition. For example, a company like a Microsoft or a Google is actively building GCCs, right? These global capability centers in India, and they're all looking at buildings which have a low carbon, low embodied carbon. And imagine if you have a Microsoft logo on your building, it is going to draw so much of crowd, your value is going to go up. Right? So that's the kind of positioning we need to have, and that's something that sustainability can get for you. Union Bank offers somewhere in the range of 0.1 to 0.5% interest rate reduction if you show your building to be green. So numerous benefits. We did some calculation simulation. There's about 10 million tons of green steel demand coming from the private sector in the next 3 to 5 years. Many steel companies are now launching their green steel brands, right? Many international names over here. You see Tata Steel brands like Zemis and Optimus. You'll see Kobe Steel as Kobe Steel. JFE is J Green X. Back home in India, JSW has recently launched the Green Edge. We are doing all the carbon accounting for them for it. Kalyani Steel, about 2 years back, they launched Feresta Steel. So now people are looking at sustainability as a brand. They are looking at it and seeing that if you are, let's say, TMT, ABC TMT sitting in, I don't know, in Bhavnagar, can you have a green brand, right? Green brand, green pricing, additional traceability, and all of that, right? So this is the time where you should actually think about having multiple brands, or maybe at least 2 brands. One is regular steel for the average customer, and then there is special green steel, which is meant for your special customers, where you charge a premium. And finally, I like to end with this image, which I find very inspirational. So this is an article from about ARS Steel, who we were working with to secure their first green steel deal, which is actually India's first green TMT steel deal, where they actually replaced a primary steel producer. And this debate of primary versus secondary was laid to rest over there, because they were able to prove that a TMT bar made from the primary route or secondary route is going to be as good as the other one, as long as they meet the quality criteria. So they won the battle, they won that battle, they won the battle of a price premium. You can ask Ashwini ji what price premium he got, I won't tell you that, but there was a certain benefit which was gained. And finally, I'll end my presentation, but I'll leave you with this. If there is any topic on green steel that you would like to talk about, please come and talk to me. Our booth is right at the back. And these are some of the services that we offer around your green steel certification, CCTS, the baseline surveys, CBAM, EPDs, net zero journeys, BRSR, and all of that. Okay. I'm a little over time, but again, thank you for the opportunity. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Harsh. I think it was a bit over time, but that was important because everybody is talking about green steel. But the basic question was, is it going to get premium and what is the demand? And I think the demand side is what you showed very beautifully. I'll call our next panelist, Ms. Supriya Bansal. She is partner AVA Insights to talk about CCTS.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. I hope you all are enlightened and inspired by now with green steel. Let me take you to the topic of carbon credit trading scheme. It is much talked about. As owners of businesses, we all are also concerned of money. You would ask many of them, show me the money. Possibly today in my presentation, I will try to address that point as show how can you make money out of being sustainable, okay? So very, very important topic. Before I dwell deep into it, let me just tell you a little bit about our firm. So we are a consulting firm. This is our 20th year of existence. We operate out of Pune. We have about 19 partners and everyone focuses on different services. We lead the sustainability services here, and I'm coming here and presenting you everything on sustainability today, okay? The services which I specialize in is, of course, everything to do with green steel. We also work intensively on carbon credit trading scheme, CBAM, and also we work on EPR, LCA, and for listed companies, you would have heard about buzzwords today on BRSR reporting. We also auditors for BRSR. So this is about our services, a full-fledged service firm, along with the technology, everything to do with digital transformation. Okay, so let's dwell deep into the topic of carbon credit trading scheme. There has been 2 notifications under this. One is in April and other in June. What you should know that there are about 650 companies which are registered under this scheme. Out of this, around 250 plus are companies under steel sector. Now, how did these companies fall under this? So when we meet clients, they say that humko kyun aaya ye notification? Where is it coming from? So let me decode and let you take back down in the memory lane a bit. So everyone knows about PAT, right? There was a competitive and trade. PAT had come with a focus on energy efficiency. Now, when PAT had come, the objective of it that time was to how to, be more energy efficient as a company. When PAT had come, the focus of our government was not about carbon reduction across the sector. It was about energy efficiency. And that is how you would remember about e-certs. Many of the clients do yet tell me that we have e-certs which have not been encashed. You have e-certs which are lying. So this happened about PAT. Now you all have heard since yesterday that the objective of our government under Paris Agreement is to reduce emissions by 45%, correct? Now how do we achieve that? So hence, just saving on energy or just doing an energy efficiency is not going to help us. What the government has come, that the people who all were under PAT scheme have now been pushed into carbon trading scheme. All companies who have a tonnage of 10,000 tons of oil equivalent have all become obligated entities under CCTS. Hence, many of you all in this room today are part of the CCTS scheme as well. So now if you ask me whether it is compulsory for me as a company to do it, I would say unfortunately the answer is yes. Green steel is an advantage for you to do. CCTS is a compliance for you to do. Okay, so you cannot escape this. You have to do it. It is a compliance mechanism. Okay, so that is what I wanted to first address. Now, you would wonder if PAT was there, what has, pushed from PAT to CCTS? Why something new again? As I reiterated in my conversation, PAT was focusing on energy efficiency. We now want to focus on carbon emissions. So when we do calculations about carbon credit, what we do is everything related to your process emissions, but from gate to gate. It is not from cradle to grave, it is gate to gate. So hence, certain emissions which are logistic emission, I was speaking to a few people yesterday, they were asking me what about transport, what about logistics? Currently, this is out of CCTS. It is also out of green steel for now because we are concentrating on process emissions, okay? So this is what you should know about PAT and how CCTS has emerged. Now, this is India's first official carbon market. It is launched under the Energy Conservation Act and it enables you to trade carbon credits, okay? To which companies or to which sectors has this been launched? As I said, 650 companies. The 650 companies are across iron and steel, cement, aluminium, textile, pulp and paper, petroleum, and oil refineries. So this is the sector under which CCTS is obligated, okay? Because, and if you observe, these are high emission sectors, high intensity carbon emission sectors. And that is the reason in many conferences, now you will find that many conferences around these areas, because this has become a very, very important topic to talk about, okay? Now, any framework to be successful under the government has to have some legal backing, have to have departments functionally, efficiently running. Like we have a wonderful department, NIST, running for green steel. We need some something, similar setup for the carbon credit trading scheme. And that is the reason these are the departments which will rule the carbon credit market. Everyone has a different responsibility here, and that is what everyone will be a part of this ecosystem. Now, why and what of CCTS, okay? So why CCTS, right? This also says that, you have to cut your GHG emissions. You have to also, now in the PAT scheme, if you are an overachiever, right? If you are an overachiever, I'll explain you in my next slide, what do you mean by overachieve? If you have achieved more than your target, you are an overachiever. And there are certain companies who are underachievers, who have not achieved equal to target. So here they have an opportunity to trade. Like the stock market, you buy and sell. Here, similarly, you will be able to buy and sell. I'll show you how in a minute. So please be tuned. Okay, so this is about why CCTS. There are two mechanisms under which CCTS works. Till now, what I mentioned about 650 companies, they are called obligated entities. So for them, it's the compliance mechanism, okay? There are certain companies who are doing quite good, and they also want to register their projects. They are not under compliance mechanism, but they are doing something good for the environment, which is something new which they are doing, which helps the environment. They can also register on this thing, and they are called as offset mechanism. They come under that, okay? So the whole objective is to reward companies to go green in some form or the other, right? So this is the background of this CCTS. Now, how does the whole process work is also very important. So there is a terminology called a trajectory period. A trajectory period is a 3-year period. Now they have also considered the baseline emissions. Now, many companies have during the PAT have submitted their data. Companies did not know what was the reason when they submitted the data, why is the data being collected. And now many companies realize that the data which has gone is not very correct, right? There is an opportunity for you, if you are falling into that zone, there is an opportunity for you to yet correct that data, okay? So this is one important thing which you could do. Also, the 3-year period starts from a baseline of 23-24, and many companies have been given a target. So let me take an example. This slide will help you to understand how does the carbon credit really work, right? So if you see, on the right-hand side, there is a notification by the government which says that is called the trajectory period. Every company has been given a target कि हर साल में आपको क्या achieve करना है. Okay, that is how the notification has come. Now, let's take an example of a company, ABC Ispat Limited. Okay, let's say it is an obligated entity under CCTS. Now you all know what obligated. Now you know what an obligated and non-obligated entity is. Now let's take an under obligated entity. Assume that your baseline emission is 2.5, okay? Assume that your GHG emission intensity target is 2.35, okay? Let's take this as an example. Now, let's say your target has been 2.35, you have actually have 2.3. Now what have you done here actually? You have reduced your emissions compared to the target, right? Since you have this emissions reduction, you get a bonus from the government. I mean, not from the government, what I mean is you get a bonus in terms of carbon credits. So here, in my example, you get 5,000 credits. This could be a potential source of income for you. Okay? So this is an opportunity for you to earn money. Yeah, I'll go. Suppose the target is not achieved and you have a shortfall of 0.10. Suppose your carbon emissions are 2.35, but you have achieved 2.45. You have not achieved it. You have a shortfall, so you'll have to purchase the credits, right? Now, look at my next slide. So now the government says, let's assume that the current market rate, average market rate, which is trading under the CCTS is 1,500 per carbon credit. So here in my case, since you have a shortfall, you have a penalty of 1.5 crore. You have to purchase carbon credits of 1.5 crore. So look at the amount of money involved here if you are not compliant. In case you fail to purchase those credits, you do not purchase it, you will have to pay double the amount. So you have to pay 3 crores. So this is why it is very important for you to understand this and spread a word among your industry colleagues, your friends who are not yet aware of this. Okay? In the interest of time, I'm going to skip few slides. But also companies who do not fall under CCTS, there is a notification for them. Around 2,500 steel companies have come under this notification. For them, baseline emission is important, right? Here also, what the clients submit the data is very important because these people will come under the future PAT or CCTS scheme, as we call, okay? So no ignoring any of these facts is very, very important. Now, that is the reason this is mandatory. It matters to you. You have seen already the impact if you do not follow it, right? So the amount involved are huge. Hence, we have to, we don't have an option, right? Now, you will have always a dilemma. There is so many buzzwords coming up. We're talking about green steel. We're talking about CCTS. We're talking about the companies who have filed RCO. You were talking about renewable consumption obligation. Today, GreenX talked about LCA. How does it all tie up? See, everyone is trying to concentrate on a greener economy, okay? So these all concepts are interlinked. The good thing you do for the green environment, it will all be interrelated and help you from achieving and going green as a company, okay? So this was almost my last slides. These are our esteemed clienteles. We are working with endlessly on various solutions under whatever I have spoken so far. We are proud of our few clients from Maharashtra who today are also getting some green steel certification. They are there in this room and really, really privileged to work with them. And this has been our few accolades and win factors which I would like to highlight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Supriya, for this session. I think this CCTS was very important, and being a technical session, it took a time, but we are short of time because we have the next green steel certifications which are being awarded by NIST. So I would like my next panelists to be a bit short on this thing because we are to have a hard stop at 3:30 for the next panel. So one of the very important elements in the CCTS and green steel is played by the ACVAs or the auditors. Now, I would like to call upon Mr. Anirban Chatterjee. He is head sustainability from Bureau Veritas to tell the role of auditors, how they play the role in the whole scheme.
Thank you, Yashodhan. Thank you, MRAI, Sanjay Mehta Saab, and for organizing this wonderful first of a kind sustainable sale conference in Goa. So yeah, my esteemed speaker Paranjit sir has already spoke about the importance of green steel certifications as well as the certifications on under carbon market. I'm going to basically talk about little bit core to what the secondary steel industries today and is known for. Is basically you are at the epitome of circularity, and how do we basically link the circularity and green steel as a competitive advantage for secondary steel players, and try to see that how you really compete well with the primary steel players, not only in India as well as globally. So just before I begin, the slides, I will cut short about the Bureau Veritas introduction. I represent BV, which is a French multinational company, and we are a 200-year young company going to get completed in 2028. So we bring that credibility and in the compliance and creating trust among the stakeholders. And where we see that, we heard about the operationalization of the carbon credit trading scheme and various ESG compliances. My colleague Harsh shows about the various green steel brand. Personally, I am very much privileged to be associated with almost 90% of those green steel brand from 2021, and kind of certified them as an independent third-party verifier. So how this entire secondary steel industry can really take a leap forward, and then the answer lies in how your robustness on the entire governance mechanism on monitoring, reporting and verification lies. And closed loop traceability going to be the buzzword in few months or years to come, wherein the secondary steel manufacturers within Indian ecosystem will be more called for their credible way of producing more recycled and green steel. So without, I'll just start. And also yesterday we heard about the close linkages and encouragement to the automotive value chain also, how they can support and complement the secondary steel manufacturers on the green and circular steel. So I would like to touch upon that area as well. So starting with a car maker, as you know, the circularity is an important aspect and as part of our entire green economy and circular economy model. And all the policies and practices what you are seeing is coming are keeping the circular design of our economy in mind. And that's how, the steel being one of the primary hard-to-abate sector, along with some of the other hard-to-abate sector, is playing a very important role to, support the development and progress towards circular economy. And if we dip down to the component, the value proposition for any equipment manufacturer or recycle companies are that how the recycled content certification can go hand in hand along with your carbon emission abatement story. So while at the same time, Paranjit sir talked about quality is very important. We are also should not, be refrained from highlighting our strength for producing the more circular steel than any of the primary steel producers globally. And India is going to be a hub for that. So with that value proposition, if you see, there are multiple challenges, and the avoided emissions are going to be tackled by the compliance market as well as the voluntary carbon market. But then how these scope 3 emissions, if you think from an OEM point of view, you have to model your data, model your MRV solutions in line with the OEM's perspective. And then the question comes, what additionally you are kind of adding value to the ecosystem with your product. So this is a small kind of recycling case study many of you are aware of. One of the primary case which was done by one of the large automotive OEM by producing, now we are having hundreds of RVSFs. And then how these individual RVSF level the scrap trader, recycler, we have the industry stalwarts from the secondary steel industry who are known for basically how you are aggregating at a quality level your scrap. But the major challenge lies is still today we do not have a very digitized monitoring system for material mass balance at the scrap level. So at each and every level, when finally post-consumer scrap, whether coming from the automotive industry or any other recycled kind of component, are not having that traceability of that how much is the recycled content in the final finished product. And that's where is going to be the kind of currency for the future, which we are going to kind of encash. And this has a clear linkages with the carbon credit, because the end of life vehicle credit policies are coming, methodologies are being emerged on how do we account the recycled component to prove the additionality, prove the permanence, as well as the credible climate action through for the steel industry at large. So this attribution, initially, if you see, look at the 10 years back when the renewable energy transformation has happened within the country, the renewable energy attribution and the power purchase agreements were basically instrumental to create a lot of RECs, renewable energy certificates. And that was instrumental for many organizations to buy RECs and then attribute the same for the final finished product. Similarly, the circularity attribution is going to come. And then that's where we are, urging all the, secondary steel manufacturers to give equal importance on sustainability, green steel, quality, as well as your circularity story of your product. Because if the story is not told properly, I think, we will miss a bigger competitive advantage. So we are, as an assurance provider, I'll just take 1 more minute to cover that we cover this recycled steel content certifications along with the carbon footprint, and which will in turn fade into the overall MRV of the certification scheme under compliance mechanism or either voluntary carbon market. So there are steps. So for example, an OEM, if they start from their vehicle component manufacturer, forging unit, steel plates, each and every component level, we heard about the product circularity initiatives on LC and EPD. Everything need to be material balanced at its trace, at its origin, and then we have to kind of trace back and then certify them, and that ensures a lot of credibility, and the assurance certificate can fetch real premium if you want to not only claim the carbon credit reduction, but also the actual tell the story of your circularity addition or the recycled addition at each and every stages of the production process when a particular auto component or building materials or anything. This is just an example of an auto component where the assurance will play an important role. So one last thing on there is a new ISO series standard has come, ISO 59000 series, which is going to aid this sustainability and circular economy. It's a very comprehensive standard taking care of the entire ecosystem, wherein the secondary steel manufacturers have the most advantageous position. It is like the next energy management system certification for circularity, where it can give you the tangible benefit of ROI, that how this particular certification can really measure your circularity performance at the organization level, at the value chain level, at the supplier level. So there are 4 different series of standards. 2 are guideline, 2 are certifiable, 1 for organization, 1 for value chain, and there are detailed guidelines which we are actually promoting along with the carbon credits, and it has to go hand in hand on coexist. So with this, basically BV is a 200-year-old assurance provider, and as I said, we are privileged to be part of the industry and work with the entire ecosystem for pretty long time with large number of green products in the steel industry has come in the market with our validated and credible approach. We are ready to kind of work together and then support you in this journey. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Anirban. I think Anirban missed to mention that CCTS is starting, and under the CCTS, BE has appointed Bureau Veritas to be the auditor to train around 2,000 auditors for the CCTS scheme. So this is a very commendable work which Bureau Veritas is doing. I would like to next invite Mr. Anirudh Iyer, Senior Price Reporter from S&P Global, where he'll be talking about price discoveries on the carbon credit market.
Yeah, very good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. My name is Anirudh. I am a senior price reporter at S&P Global Commodity Insights. Before I talk about the market, I just want to give a brief about what we do at S&P Global Commodity Insights. We are a price reporting agency in that we are not active buyers or sellers in the market. We do not participate in any transactions. We reach out to market participants to get an idea about how the market is. We talk to a cross-section of buyers, sellers, producers, developers, traders, brokers, get market information and publish reports and assess prices. We have visibility across commodities, and energy transition is one of them. And within energy transition, we have visibility in carbon, renewables, hydrogen and ammonia and biofuels. And we have similar verticals in other commodities as well. So this is just a brief introduction of what we do at Platts. And moving on, like I said, the reason why we are in this business is to bring more transparency in the market. Since we are not active players in the market, in that we are not actively participating in any transactions, we operate without any buyers. We are third-party, market reporters. We talk to both sell side and buy side so that we can give a transparent report to participants in the market. We try to ensure that there is more liquidity and price discovery so that everybody in the market benefits from the reports that we publish. And these are some of the assessments that we have for carbon markets. As you can see, just a quick brief on how the carbon market is divided. So there's something called as avoidance segment and removal segment. Avoidance segment is basically when you develop projects that avoids further emission of carbon, that's an avoidance credit. And if you are removing traces of carbon from the atmosphere, that's removal credits. And given how removal credits removes carbon from the atmosphere, removal credits are usually at a premium to avoidance credits. And that's how the market is at this point in time, which I'll be showing in a few minutes going ahead. These are the suite of prices that we have for assessments for carbon. We have similar prices for other commodities as well, but because I am from the energy transition team and I am a carbon price reporter, these are the assessments that I and my team are responsible for doing Monday through Friday by reaching out to a cross-section of market participants. And just taking a point further of what Supriya ma'am just mentioned a few minutes ago, the Indian carbon market is divided into compliance and offsets, and as the name suggests, compliance entities are mandated to purchase credits, reduce their emissions, and offset entities are required to set up projects on a voluntary basis. They can then get credits for the efforts that they put in to reduce or remove carbon from the atmosphere. And I'm glad to also announce to the gathering that BE, the nodal agency for CCTS, has recently announced final emission targets for 4 industries that are covered under the compliance mechanism. The 4 industries obviously are iron and steel, paper, petrochemical, and cement. The other 4 industries are awaited for their final emission targets. And going with the timeline, so you'll be glad to know that the compliance mechanism, the compliance year, the maiden compliance year is already underway. It has begun in April 2025. It coincides with the fiscal year the India follows, that is April through March. So March 31st is when the compliance year will end, and April to July obligated entities are required to report their emissions, and from October onwards, that is October 2026 onwards, maiden trade for CCTS, under CCTS will commence in India. And this is a big moment for India because a lot of steel exporters are exposed to CBAM that the EU is coming up with. And if CCTS picks up and gets matured, a lot of these Indian exporters will be covered from the blow that they'll be having by CBAM obligations that they will be receiving by exporting their materials to the EU. And this is basically the procedure. How it works is if there's an entity A that manages to reduce their emissions below the target that they're given, and if there's an entity B that exceeds the emissions of the target that they've been given, they can engage in trade and exchange credits. Entity A will get credits from the government. They can sell it to entity B. They can keep some of it for future use, and that's how the trade will happen. And one good thing about the CCTS is that the compliance trading will happen on a power exchange, so there's no scope for, so there's a lot of scope for market transparency and price discovery, but the moment more intermediaries like traders and brokers enter the market, there'll be more scope for liquidity to improve, and there'll be more scope for price discovery to happen. And this is just the last slide. I just wanted to quickly touch upon CBAM, since most of the people sitting in this room are steel exporters or belong to the iron and steel industry. If you are exporting steel to EU, the importers, your importer partners in EU is exposed to CBAM, and they will have to mitigate their emissions, the embedded emissions in the product that they are importing into EU via purchasing CBAM certificates. And if you look at the formula, if you look at the blue box, that is what is important at this point in time, because EU has not yet recognized any third-party origin carbon prices. So none of the prices from India, Korea, Japan, Australia, New Zealand is recognized by EU at this point in time. So if you just look at the blue box in the formula, you will be able to calculate the CBAM certificates that your import partners will be required to purchase when they import materials. From the conversations I've had with people over here, a lot of people are not yet worried about CBAM. They are more worried about the trade dynamics that is involved in exporting material and importing material. But as time unfolds and as markets mature, I think it is not far enough that people will start having conversations on CBAM as well. And we are happy to take any questions, and we are happy to get in touch to discuss these markets in detail. And with that, I'd like to wrap up over here, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Anirudh, for your information. I would just like to ask my panelists some questions before I open the panel for the audience to ask questions. Paramjit sir, my first question would be to you. As you rightly said that CCTS is also getting activated now. Now, how do you see the Indian CCTS aligning with the National Green Steel Policy and the Green Steel taxonomy which has come?
If you see the notification of the green steel, then that green steel notification that we, whatever the guidelines we have to formulate, that is in line with the CCTS. So it is 100% aligned with the CCTS. Whatever the, you can say, emission factors that we have taken, that is what is been decided in the CCTS that we have taken. And whatever the calculations, we have developed the sheet that is in line with the CCTS. That's why it is in line with the, you can say, CCTS in that case.
Okay, thank you, sir. My next question is to Anirudh. Anirudh, I think we have spoken about the market being there. What do you look at the liquidity, and is there any price discovery or any price benchmarks which have come for carbon credits which will be there in India? And if you can give us the benchmarks with the EU ETS and the price in the compliance markets globally.
Yeah, thanks, Yash. So basically, like I said, the maiden trading for CCTS will commence in October 2026, and only then will there be an idea for what prices these credits will go for. At this point in time, there's not much of an idea. But having said that, just to get an idea of where prices are in the voluntary carbon market and the compliance market in other countries. So it depends basically if you are an avoidance project or a removal project, and avoidance projects are usually at a discount. And just to give some context, renewable energy credits in the voluntary carbon market are somewhere less than $1, whereas biochar credits, which are removal credits, are north of $100, somewhere around $130. So that's a rough range where carbon markets are at this point in time. Not sure if Indian credits will also be priced with such disparity, but from our initial conversations that we're having with market participants, not a lot of people have an idea at this point in time on where prices will be, and a clear price discovery and a clear price idea will only emerge once trading begins in October next year.
Yeah, thank you, Anil. Supriya, my next question would be to you. You said that some of the people may have given data in a wrong format when they were asked for data because they were not knowing it. And if some of the industries has given wrong data, is there any, and the baselines have come there, is there any way they can come and correct the data?
Yeah. Hello. Yes, so as I also covered as part of the presentation, there has been cases where companies had reported baseline with a particular assumptions in mind. But when they are relooking at the data, they are finding that, there are certain gaps in the data. Till the list becomes an official gazette, we yet have an opportunity to apply to B and correct our data points. So we should look at that and have a correct baseline. Otherwise, we would have a problem for the next years as well. So this is a very, very important point which should note.
Harsh, thank you, Sophia. Harsh, my next question would be to you. As the Indian CCTS is getting implemented, what is the role of digital MRV which will play in the CCTS?
Little side conversation that sir and I were having on the same topic. So here is the deal. Now, there is a lot of data, and errors can happen on both sides. It can happen that on purpose wrong data is submitted, or by mistake wrong data is submitted, and then the calculations after that. There is no way that any system will be 100% accurate. There are errors. But this is where digital technology comes into play. I think by setting up the right systems of traceability, right? Like some of our conversations with Bureau of Energy Efficiency in Delhi have always been that, for example, all the coal that we are talking about, all the coal consumption, can that in some way be connected to the data from the port so that we can do a check and balance? Is it adding up or not? Electricity data that is going in, can we triangulate with the state electricity boards or not? There is now even, if you talk about emissions which are happening from the stack, there is enough geospatial imagery using satellite data which can detect up to some level of accuracy what is the kind of emission that is actually happening. So the role of digital MRV is big, but I think first it just starts off with companies ensuring that there is a common platform where all this data is being stored, it is being validated, and through benchmarks you can even check that supposing, by doing, one of the major errors that we find is in mass balance. Yash, when we were talking about the work for MTC as well, that question always came up, which is around mass balance. So that's where digital tools comes into play, where you can do these quick checks very easily and see that your numbers are making sense. So to answer your question, there is a basic level where a digital platform like ours, for example, can be used, where you can do your data validation, ensure that it is in range, everything is balancing out. And then there are more advanced use cases. Like I think one of the use cases that we are doing with Ashwini ji over here, every bundle of TMT bar which is now coming out of ARS Steel, it has a QR code. When you scan the QR code, it gives you the details of what is the quality certificate, what is the CO2 emission per heat, how much of renewable energy went in. So the cases are a lot, and I think over time many companies will adopt it.
Yeah. Thank you, Harsh. I think I will open the forum for the audience. If they have any questions to the panelists, they can ask the questions. Okay, I think if there are no questions, I will just ask the director from MRAI, Mr. K.U. Shah, sir, and Sanjay Mehta, sir, to come and please felicitate the panelists.
The dawn of a bold new era that focuses on doing things differently, on transforming lives, and making a difference through sustainable solutions and innovative modern techniques. A step towards creating a world that secures our today and paves way for a better tomorrow. India, an emergent $5 trillion economy, is working towards its mission to be carbon neutral by 2070, with recycling as a cornerstone in its bid to go green. The MTC Group is established on the legacy of creating value. A billion-dollar enterprise, our today is built on embedding innovation, technology, and sustainability at the heart of everything we do. With an increasing number of large enterprises looking to make the green switch to achieve their carbon emission goals, comes the need for consistent supply of high-quality, recycled raw materials. United by the idea to make manufacturing sustainable and contributing to the Make in India vision, the MTC Group is India's largest recycling company. Achieving a dynamic balance between the demand and supply of raw materials for large OEMs for products such as ferrous and non-ferrous scrap, plastic, paper, and
Good evening,
e-waste.
ladies and gentlemen. Now we are
The
heading-
MTC Group's presence
Good evening once again. Now we are heading towards a Green Steel Certifications Felicitation Program, which will be conducted under the guidance of NIST, Paramjit Ji, Director of NIST. As you all are aware of that, green steel is basically the companies which produce the steel which has to be below the 2.2 per ton carbon emissions, has to be So all 15 companies will be felicitated at this conference today, and the certifications has been done finally by the National Institute of Secondary Steel Technology under the guidance of Ministry of Steel, which is a nodal agency for the Ministry of Steel, which measures as well as the monitors the carbon emissions for the steel industry. Now with this, we are very pleased to welcome all the 15 companies who are already qualified as well as they're certified by the NIST or here today. With this, I would like to request MRI Board of Directors, Mr. Sanjay Mehta ji, be on the dais to felicitate. Along with, we also request Paramjit ji, Director of NIST, to be on the dais, please. May I also request Zain Natani ji, Vice President of MRI, please be on the dais, sir. May I also request Keyur Shah, Director MRI, please be on the dais. I also request Shravan Agarwal ji, please be on the dais as well. I also would like to invite one more, Mr. Vinay Sharma ji be on the dais. I also request one more important distinguished guest for the felicitations, Professor Vishwanathan, Head of Metallurgy, IIT. Is he here today? Professor Vishwanathan? Okay. So, without taking much time, we request all the 15 companies to be over here, please. I am just calling their name one by one. The first felicitations of the NIST Green Steel Certification Program. The first company we would like to call upon, Agni Steels Private Limited from Tamil Nadu, Mr. R. Krishnamurthy, Managing Director. Sir, please be on the dais. Next, we would like to call upon the next Green Steel certified company, Aurora Iron and Steel Rolling Mills Private Limited from the Punjab. Mr. B.D. Chawla, Head of Department Quality Assurance, please be on the side. kindly give a round of applause to all the Green Seal certified. May I request all the audience to encourage them because they have gone through entire rigorous process for getting the certifications. Our next Green Steel certified company, Gaj Keshri Steel and Alloys Private Limited from Maharashtra. I would request Ms. Supriya Bansal and Chandan Kaloti on behalf of the Gopal Jindal can be on the dais to receive their certifications. Our next Green Steel certified company, Gandharaj Ispat Private Limited from Ahmednagar, Maharashtra. Mr. Gaurav Dugad, director from the company, Gandharaj Ispat. So next Green Steel certified company, Gitai Steels from Maharashtra, Mr. Ashish Anil Kumar Agarwal. Can you be on the dais, please, sir? Our next Green Steel certified company, Jaideep Metallics and Alloys Private Limited from the Wada, Palghar, Maharashtra. On their behalf, Mr. Amit Jaideep Ispat will be receiving their certifications. So please be on the dais. Our next Green Steel certified company, Green Steel certified company called Meenakshi Udyog Private Limited, Egmore, Chennai from Tamil Nadu. I would request Shailesh Agarwal, Salil Bansal and Achinta Bansal, please be on the dais, sir, please. So next Green Steel certified company, MS Metal Steel Private Limited, which is again MTC Group company. I would request Mr. Atul Singh Rathod and Jainam Balia, please be on the dais. I would like to invite the ninth Green Steel certified company called Prakash Ferrous Industries Limited. May I request Mr. Krishnamurthy, Managing Directors, once again please be on the dais. This is the second company from their group has got Green Steel certifications. So Mr. R. Krishnamurthy from Prakash Ferrous Industries Private Limited. Yeah. Our next Green Steel certified company, Shri Ramdut Rollers Private Limited from Bankura, West Bengal. All the way they are here today. Mr. Prakash Kumar Saha, General Manager. Thank you, sir. Our next Green Steel certified company, Sri Tirupati Steel Cast Limited from Andhra Pradesh. Mr. Tarun Rati, please be on the dais. Our next Green Steel certified, we would like to call upon Sri SK Steel and Power Private Limited from the Chhattisgarh, Mr. Ishan Agarwal is SK Ispat, please be on the dais. The next, we would like to call SRJ Strips and Pipes Private Limited, Mr. Ashish Anil Agarwal on behalf of Yashraj Pitti. They will be receiving their Green Steel certifications. Mr. Ashish. Our next Green Steel certified company, SRMB Srijan Private Limited from West Bengal, Sumit Das from, please be on the dais. Thank you. And the next, and that is the last one, 15th. Suraj Fabrics Industries, Bilaspur from the Himachal Pradesh. Mr. Rupesh Goel and Prashant Goel, please be on the dais. So with this, we have almost felicitate 15 companies we have qualified for the Green Steel certification. May I request if Paramjit sir would like to give your message to the Green Steel certified companies.
Congratulations to all the 15 industries who have received the Green Steel certificate today. As I told you that many of other industries have already registered with us, and we are, because it is a time-taking process. Once the industry registered with us, it takes around a month to evaluate, and you can to give the final result that whether they are eligible or not. But I just want to suggest these industries that this is their benchmark now. Whatever they have achieved, they have to work hard to reduce further, because as it has been already mentioned by in one or two presentations, that ministry is coming with the sustainable steel scheme, where this will be the benchmark. If they will be able to reduce further emission like 0.1 ton CO2 per ton of the finished steel, they will be eligible for the incentive, that is 100 rupees per 0.1 ton. Whatever the production you are making, 100 rupees per ton. Suppose if somebody is producing 3 lakh tons, 100 rupees will be around 3 crore rupees, will be the incentive to them. So it is going to be, you can say, giving them opportunity to earn also and to contribute to reduce the emission through the secondary steel sector in India. Thank you very much, and congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
May I also request Sanjay Mehta ji, President of MRI, would like to say on his congratulatory note for the Green Steel sector.
Good evening. From MRI Board of Directors, I congratulate all the 15 companies I think so. Before also, we have awarded 15 companies in the IFA functions, and more 15 companies have been awarded today. So all the 30 companies are really happy to say that they are eligible for green certificate and green steel now. So your journey has started. So in times to come, definitely the rewards will be from, to you all for all the benefits, whatever the policy is are going to take the place. I'm really happy to inform you all here that MRI has been included by the Ministry of Environment for the visit to the Brazil COP30 meetings. From tomorrow onwards, 11 days, that is a group of countries who is taking the climate change pledge has been taken, and our Honorable Prime Minister is a part of that group. You must be aware that COP21, which has happened in Paris, we have taken the pledge of reducing carbon emissions by 1.5 degrees by 2030. So we as a MRI also sending 2 directors from our board to the COP30 Brazil, where they are going to stay for more than 10 days, going to present 2 papers in the COP30. More than 100 sessions are going to be organized, and out of that 2 sessions, we will be participating and we will be also presenting the papers. Thank you very much for your supports and everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for joining us today on the dais. Thank you so much. But all were very important. We would like to say that we must congratulate and very thankful to the entire NIST team working under this Paramjit sir. They have really worked hard in the last 15 days, and they have completed the entire monitoring process as well as the reporting. Thank you so much for entire your team, sir, for over here today. Thank you so much. So we are ending this session over here. Now we will move on to the next session, which is, yeah. So without taking much time, we would like to, heading toward the last session of this entire conference, that is a Green Capital IPO Foreign Collaborations. With this, I would like to introduce Mr. Raghav Kabra, Chief Operating and Innovation Officers, Raghav Productivity Enhancers Limited. Yeah. I request all the audience, since we are last 2 days we are here, very interesting session, very knowledge driven session was going on, and we are heading now the last session of this conference is going on. Very important that Mr. Raghav Kabra as well as Mr. Chandanji will be guiding us how the Green Capital IPO Foreign Collaborations is going to be help us for the companies which are venturing into the IPO market, as well as going for the foreign collaboration, as well as the green capital fundraising. So they will be guiding us very thoroughly, and definitely it will be good for all of us, for the industry stakeholders. This session is going to be, so I would request all the audience to be over here today. Kindly pay your, yeah. With this, I would like to call the moderator of this session, which is Mr. Raghav Kabra, Chief Operating and Innovation Officer, Raghav Productivity Enhancers. Mr. Raghav Kabra is officer at the Raghav Productivity Enhancer, is a post-graduation from the ISB Hyderabad and MBA from London's Business School as well. Driving future growth engines at the Raghav Productivity, he leads the entire sales and marketing efforts worldwide. Over to you, Raghavji. Please be on the dais.
Thank you, Pramodji, for the wonderful introduction. Thanks a lot. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to invite Mr. Sanjay Mehta ji on the stage, on the dais. Mr. Sanjay Mehta ji, as everyone knows, like to invite Mr. Chandan Lahoti, partner AVA Insights. CA Chandan Lahoti, with over 20 years of experience in auditing MNCs and listing entities, leads AVA's ESG service line. He specializes in sustainability assurance, ESG reporting and carbon credit trading, guiding organizations in carbon accounting, energy efficiency and sustainable business integration. Post that, we also have Mr. Puneet Paliwal, who is not available physically, but he will be giving a video presentation post all of the presentations are over. So I'd like to start this session with a presentation about green capital, IPOs and foreign collaborations, particularly taking insights of what has been our journey at Raga Productivity within the capital market space. We've been listed for about almost 9.5 years now, and I'd like to give you some insights of what we have seen, how can the capital markets through the IPO route help steel companies grow, create massive wealth for themselves as well as for the industry per se, and how does green capital come into this entire picture along with it. So I believe that there is a new paradigm in play currently in the world. Sustainable capital is not just a theme which is discussed in conferences like these, but in reality it actually is there that foreign investors, Indian investors, a lot of funds have particular mandates to invest in companies that are sustainable, that are part of the circular economy, and in some way are giving back to the society. We have dealt with a lot of funds when we present our company to investors, wherein they specifically ask us whether your company provides material to very high carbon generating industries such as the blast furnace route, whereas we tell them that we are supplying to induction furnace route, which is the greenest way to make steel. And that actually helps us out a lot. So I believe for most of the people sitting here having induction furnaces, this sustainable route through the green steel production that all of you guys do, it's a massive power play that you have in your hand, which you don't even know right now, is going to help you further raise capital, get into the IPOs and get into the capital markets and get better valuations at the end of the day. Global collaboration is also part of this entire process. We know for ourselves, having a technical collaboration with JWK AB of Sweden, that it was only possible because we were an organized listed player in the Indian setup. That gives a lot of confidence to foreign entities to collaborate with Indian companies. Otherwise, just a standalone company with no corporate governance, it's very difficult for foreign people to collaborate with you guys. So being listed, it helped us out quite a lot over there. A bit about ourselves. So Raga Productivity and Answers Limited, we were a family enterprise back then. Today we are the world leaders in silica rimming mass manufacturing. Silica rimming mass is a critical consumable which is used for lining of induction furnaces in India and abroad. We have a capacity of about 0.4 million tons as of the date, which is growing, which is going to grow considerably in the next 2 years to come. Our plants are spread across approximately 2 lakh square meters. It's a state-of-the-art, fully automated plant. Currently, we are at market cap of about 4.5 thousand crores. And the interesting part is that we started out with just 28 crores when we IPO'd back then. So it's been a remarkable journey for us in the listed space. I will give you, after this, you'll see some slides about how a lot of companies like ours, within the steel space itself, have multiplied their valuations post the IPO. Our journey is clearly visible over here in terms of how the stock price has moved. We've been very fortunate to have distinguished investors, such as late Mr. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, Mr. Ramesh Damani of DMart, and so on and so forth. Enhanced governance framework is the key of how we have been able to differentiate ourselves with the other companies in our particular industry. Rimming mass was a very unorganized, commoditized market. We came across as a player who was organized, dealing fairly, with proper metrics, with proper sustainability and governance initiatives that we had taken. And that actually helped us out with when we went to take money from the investors, from the entire community at play. And I believe it's not just the domestic investors, but the foreign investors as well. It helped us strengthen our market position. From a very small company back then, we were able to become the world leaders in this industry. And having that organized tag helped us out, not just during the marketing, when we or my team was going out and spreading the name of our company, but also to get the confidence of the customers and the stakeholders in the industry. Now, as these days IPOs are a very hot topic, a lot of companies are either planned to go for the IPO or have some questions about it in their minds of how to think about it. So some insights about how we thought when we were going for the IPO and some companies that we have helped go for the IPO in the listed space right now. Firstly, it's about institutionalization, getting your governance points spot on very early. Set of independent directors is very necessary. Getting a good reputed audit firm, audit committees before the IPO filings is very necessary. A mindset shift needs to happen that the reporting that you are doing in terms of your numbers has to be absolutely top-notch, free of any blemishes. It has to be the kind wherein everyone can feel that whatever numbers that you're giving, they're actually true and they're not made up. And once that confidence comes in, and once you're able to grow your company from there, the multiples and the valuations increase multifold. The strengthening of the financial systems in part and process of the same. Crafting a clear equity story. Now, moats is a clear part of it, ESG is a clear part of it. हर इन्वेस्टर हमारे पास जब आता है तो एक ही चीज़ पूछता है कि आप आगे क्या करने वाले हो, अभी तक जो कर लिया वो तो बहुत बढ़िया, आगे क्या करने वाले हो। और ये जो स्टोरी टेलिंग है ना, ये सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है। आपने अभी एक प्लांट लगाया, उसमें आपके 2 भट्टी चल रही है, आपका प्लान है इसको 6 भट्टी करने का। वो प्लान आप सामने वाले को किस तरीके से एक्सप्लेन करते हो, कैसे आप उसका रोड मैप सामने वाले को दिखाते हो, एंड द अदर पर्सन कैन बिलीव बेस्ड ऑन योर पास्ट एक्सपीरियंसेस एंड योर पास्ट रिजल्ट्स कि दिस इज अ प्रोमोटर हु व्हाटएवर ही इज सेइंग इज एबल टू डिलीवर ऑन दैट. And if you're able to do that in a very professional way, then it's going to be very, very good. Engaging the right advisors. I would stress upon this point quite a lot. Market में बहुत अच्छे लोग भी हैं, बहुत game करने वाले लोग भी हैं. So engaging the right advisors is extremely important, be it the market maker, the lead managers of the IPO that you're planning to do. It could be very large companies such as Motilal Oswal or very boutique investment firms which are based in small tier 2 cities as well. Going for either is a personal choice, but I would say that they need to understand your industry. They need to understand the kind of investor sentiment that you want to present to very, very well. And they need to understand your numbers well. उनको खुद को आपकी स्टोरी पे बिलीफ होना चाहिए. वरना बहुत लोग हैं मार्केट में जो कहेंगे कि हम इतना वैल्यूएशन पे आपका IPO कर देंगे, इतना वैल्यूएशन पे आपका IPO कर देंगे. But then eventually it does not go through. So it's very critical. Word of mouth is the only way. You should ask people around you कि भाई किससे लेकर आए हो, how was the experience, and that should be the way to go forward about that. As I said earlier, the promoter mindset needs to be there. आपने एक बार मन में सोच लिया कि it's not just about the IPO in itself, it's about what's going to happen after the IPO. Only then that you should be going towards the IPO. Which is why this slide of mine about creating value through the IPO. Not just from it. पब्लिक मार्केट्स में आप एक बार आते हो तो फिर आपके जो भी डिस्क्लोजर्स रहते हैं उसमें बहुत ट्रांसपेरेंसी की ज़रूरत रहती है. आपने जो चीज़ें बोला अगर आपने करके दिखाया तो फिर आपकी वैल्यूएशन बहुत ज़बरदस्त बढ़ती है. हम लोग एक क्लियर एग्जांपल है इस चीज़ के ऑफ व्हाई दी पब्लिक मार्केट्स आर गिविंग अस द वैल्यूएशंस दैट दे आर गिविंग अस इज बिकॉज वी हैव डिलीवर्ड ऑन व्हाट वी हैव सेड दैट वी आर गोइंग टू डू. एंड इफ यू आर एबल टू डू दैट देन इट्स एब्सोल्युटली ग्रेट. Being a listed company gives you strategic capital access. We did a preferential round about 2 years back, getting in major investors I named before. That was possible because we were in the listed space. It gives you the access to foreign collaborations with much higher companies as compared to yourself. We have given out ESOPs to our employees. ESOPs is a great way to attract talent as well as retain your critical talent. हम उनको 5 साल का ESOP देते हैं, 5 साल तक हमको पता है कि वो कहीं नहीं जाने वाले. और प्लस उनकी वेल्थ जनरेट होती है जैसे जैसे कंपनी की वेल्थ जनरेट होती है. And because you're a listed company, those ESOPs are liquid. As soon as they get them, they can encash them immediately. And they understand it very well that when the company is growing through their efforts, they will be rewarded. And the wealth that is generated in ESOPs is incomparable to whatever salaries that you can offer these guys. End of the day, the goal is very simple, long-term wealth creation. I think everyone over here is about that. और capital markets के through जो long-term wealth creation का possibility है, वो endless है. उसमें कोई limit नहीं है. And that is why I think the IPOs in the entire capital markets are very, very hot right now. I think they will continue to be hot in the future as well. These were some pointers from my side to, think about it. Some things that we have done at Raga Productivity in terms of corporate governance, in terms of excellence. We have a fantastic board. It's not just the promoters, me, my dad, and my uncle who takes decisions for the company. But we have a proper functioning board which has some of the leaders of the industry. Mr. Hemant Narudkar, the ex-MD of Tata Steel, he's currently the chairman of TRL Krosaki Refractories, one of the largest refractory companies in the country. Mr. Amar Dawltani, he's the ex-ED at Corporation Bank. Mrs. Rajni Sekhri Sibbil, an ex-IS officer. Mr. Govind Sabu, CA, as well as a merchant banker himself. Now, it's a mix of people from the industry, from the banking side, from the bureaucratic side, as well as from the financial side. Now, whatever advice we get from these people helps us out to make much better decisions, grow out our vision. और एक चेक लग जाता है. क्या होता है फैमिली एंटरप्राइजेज में लाला कंपनीज के अंदर प्रोमोटर ही सारे डिसीजंस ले रहा है और कोई चेक नहीं है उसको इन प्लेस. इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर्स हैव नो शेयर होल्डिंग इन द कंपनी. दे आर जस्ट देयर so that you don't take decisions which are harmful to your own self. And it's a great way to excel in the corporate governance field. Being in the listed space has also given us access to fantastic avenues of R&D, through which we have been able to significantly better our product year on year, as well as get into newer industries. We have a DSIR recognition, which is we are part of only 1,800 or 1,900 companies in India who have a recognition by the government of India to have an in-house R&D center of excellence. We're the only one in the mineral space. We have an international collaboration with JWKAB Sweden, as well as current ongoing research projects at IIT Bombay. इसके साथ साथ ही we have also made a technical advisory board. This is different from the board of directors. These are the technical board that we have, which includes Mr. Graham Cooper, as well as Mr. Jan Schellberg, both industry veterans. We like to call ourselves a green company, and we have done several initiatives to be able to call ourselves a green company with regard to how we are able to increase the energy efficiency for steel plants, extend lining life, compliant operations with the National Green Tribunal. We are a circular economy wherein we have a tie-up with Hero MotoCorp in Jaipur to reclaim the waste lining that come in, as well as solar energy as well. So we are very compliant on that part. All of these things are very small items which you can also implement in your plants, but they help you out a lot when you are going ahead and talking about this to investors. Just my last slide. The future paradigm is very simple. Green capital gives you a competitive edge. Today's date and age, environmental sustainability is not just about corporate philanthropy. Today's day and age, you can actually get capital at better rates, at better valuations, if you are following the ESG metrics. ESG is environmental, social, and governance. IPO is not just about selling your stock and getting money out of it. It is actually a way to enhance yourself, be more institutionalized, be more corporate, be more professional in your workings, and give more transparency. जितने ज़्यादा आप ट्रांसपेरेंट हो गए उतना ही ज़्यादा आपके लिए काम करना ईजी हो जाने वाला है, क्योंकि आपको बाकी सब चीज़ों में दिमाग ही नहीं लगाना फिर. And today is the age of collaboration about global relevance. We have showcased how global partnerships have helped us grow massively in this space, and I think it's a cue for everyone. And I'll be happy to take questions post this. Next, I would like to call Mr. Chandan Lahoti on the dais for his presentation, and post that we can have a question-answer round as well. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I think so. This would be the last session for this wonderful 2 days of MRI conference. I think so. Till now, we were discussing on steel manufacturing, green steel, sustainability, everything. I think so. Correct. But everything is important, and everything can be done only if we have money. And next 10 odd minutes I will discuss only about money, any shape and form. Okay? So the first important point I want to make is whether we should go for an IPO, whether we should go for a friends and family money, or we should go for a bank funding. I think so. First important thing to know what are risks for friends and family money, bank debts, and an IPO. Once we make a mind, okay, I'm clear, I want to go with a IPO money, then I think so is the steps what I will cover. In my next all slides, I will only cover about last 20 years, the mistakes which promoters have done before IPO. I think so Raghav very well covered. Once you're an IPO company or you're a listed company, what are things you need to do? A lot of planning was done, but I think so as an organization, he covered a lot of things what they are doing. I will just deep dive on all the matters before IPO. If you are a 50 crores company turnover wise, if you're a 1,000 crore company turnover wise, if you're a profitable company, if you're a loss making company, whether your PBT is 10%, 5%, EBITDA 5, 10, 15%, how you need to showcase from an IPO perspective. We'll cover all those aspects. So first, definitely bank loan, you give your personal borrowing, personal guarantees. If you take up money from your friends and family, it's always वो दुखती एक तलवार रहती है अपने अंग में कि यार दे नहीं पाए तो क्या, ठीक है? And an IPO money is something which is a totally without interest, no personal guarantee, and hence people try to see that this is something which we should go for. But there are various nuisances which we will discuss upon an IPO. First important, what over the period companies has gone for an IPO is a value creation. If you believe you want to create some value out of the companies which you have done, this is, you can think of an IPO, okay? And there are many more issues. So for example, next generation business में आना नहीं चाहती है, उनको स्टील के कंपनी में नहीं काम करना है, sophisticated jobs करने या sophisticated large companies में जाने. You don't have a next generation. What? Through an IPO, whether you want to make money is also being discussed. And once you have a good IPO, definitely you have an IPO or a listed company, you get good of resources. So second, for resources also, it's very, image enhancement, all of us know, versus a private limited company, we call ourselves as a listed company, that benefits are there. The more you are a listed company, corporate governance is very important, and you need to make a mind कि अपना वो individual business नहीं रहा. It becomes a public limited company, you're answerable for a lot of people. That you need to, ESOP, I think so, Raghav discussed a lot about ESOP, but I think so, ESOP is one of the best tool to retain best of the talent in the company. 20 साल 25 साल के भी पुराने जो अपने एक right hand left hand होते थे business में, to retain them, there is an ESOP pool. Without giving them ownership, they get shares. It's a power in ESOP. Balance sheet substantially get improved because right now, आप जो सारे most of the company जो accounting करते वो Indian GAAP के हिसाब से करते. Ind AS is a fair value accounting, and if you go for an IPO, it becomes a fair value accounting. So that way, balance sheet strong होती है आपकी. Management control, low cost of capital. In a way, there is no cost of capital for a fund which you raise because you need not pay an interest. And whenever you offset your stake, 15, 25% as the case may be, anyways you get value for it. So normally from an IPO perspective, I will break the IPO into 4 phases from a timeline perspective. Planning phase, 6 to 12 months. If you are planning an IPO today, you'll require minimum 18 months. Whatever says कि 6 महीने में हम IPO लाके दे देंगे. So as Raghav said, there is two methods. एक जुगाड़, एक real essence. If you want to go really in essence with a good corporate governance company, it takes 18 months minimum. Planning stage is 6 to 12 months. It takes due diligence of 2 to 6 months. Pre-marketing, a lot of marketing is required from an IPO perspective. And then definitely IPO 1 or 2 weeks. A lot of rules and regulation which were stringent has been reduced. So comparatively, आज से 15 साल पहले IPO लाना, and today, if you want an IPO, it's way different. It's practically possible. We see a lot of even 100 to 300 crore companies are going for an IPO, and that is possible. And I'm talking about main board. Even if you are 300 crore company as a turnover, you can go for a main board IPO. It's not there, अरे मेरे को ऐसे में IPO में जाना है. So few things which you need to know, and whatever you choose. So most important is choosing the right consultant when you go for an IPO, which is most important, because you should have one person under whose guidance you are working in an IPO, because there are multiple. आपने देखा इधर there is no place in the slide to add the name of the people who are involved in an IPO. But that first lead manager, what we call, okay, which is a key person or key advisor who guides you on an IPO, then definitely you require a merchant banker, तुम्हारे बहुत सारे registrations करने पड़ेंगे, financial overview. You require, for example, if you have an India, outside India clients, you require a global counsel. अगर global lawyer लगेगा, from an Indian lawyers लगेंगे, definitely you need printers, you need registration with NSE, BSE, etc. Okay. So I'll just spend a minute on this slide, which is most important. At times in my career of last 15 years, where I've dealt with a lot of listed companies, what I've seen, 5 days to 15 days before IPO, between DRHP and your filing, there are a lot of litigations which come to you. Why? Because there are people who are just want money from you, so that you, at the stage where you are in a crucial stage from an IPO perspective, they'll file some complaints, they'll file some cases, etc. So the most important part, rights right of no omission on material facts. So to your consultant, you need to inform everything. 20 साल पहले कुछ तो किसी को तो कुछ कमिट किया होगा, कुछ एग्रीमेंट बनाया होगा, कुछ डीलरशिप दिया होगा, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन दिया होगा. There was some loose terms being used. Inform. Because what happens at the time of an IPO, the most important part is these 5-7 days before IPO, if any facts which come to the market, which is negative and deterioration to your financial statement or the company, on that day of the IPO, it becomes a nightmare. So that's most important, that inform everything. Even if there was a smallest of case going on, or which were in past, you need to inform. Because there is a document which says you need to inform it. अब 300 pages का DRHP होता है, कौन वो सब पढ़ने वाला है? But if you inform in that document, then there is no issue. And it has to be drafted well, so that you don't have a risk. Okay. So normally, basis experience, there are a lot of items which one need to know. Project management office, definitely. Bonus. I think so before IPO, a lot of planning is required. So for example, कैसे structure बनाए, कैसे maximum wealth creation करे. So bonus is something which can be planned before IPO. Dividends, how you need to strategize dividends. Buyback of shares. From an auditor perspective, you need to choose the right auditor, because the firm should be a peer review firm. Whether split conversion. Most important part, as all of you would be knowing, either you might have an individual business, partnership business, or a private limited, correct? Most of you will have that structure. So how do it structure? If you're an individual and if you create a private limited, what to do on taxation? If you have multiple entities, I see when I visit a lot of places, across India for the steel makers. I see every owner has 2 or 3 different companies or stakes some or other companies. How do you accumulate all and take to an IPO? All this planning need to be done. Otherwise, what will happen? There will be huge taxation. Because, for example, you have a private limited, you have a individual companies, there are 2, 3 companies, and it comes under the one umbrella. At that point of time, definitely taxation is there because it need to be planned well. Okay? Independent director, right choice of an independent director is important. Succession planning, HUF. Many of you have an HUF as a structure. Definitely you have a succession planning. You have 2, 3 brothers. There are uncles who are holding shares in that company. You have a daughter. You need to manage all those things. Actually, from an IPO perspective, because I've seen several companies or the groups post-IPO, when the value creation is there, there is a difference of opinion between a lot of the family members. So it has to be planned very well. Internal transfers from companies, etc. Then you have less of liberty to sell, purchase, transfer of money from one entity to other entities. That is not practically possible later. Restructuring, clubbing, etc. need to be done. If you need to change name, it has to be done mandatorily 12 months before. You need to start branding of that name, brand. Weighted average cost of acquisition is very important because all those details are required. Senior management personnel, you need to inform that who are your senior management personnel of the company which need to be go in the DRHP. Authorized share capital change, promoters. The latest change which is impacting a lot is the promoters definition has expanded. So earlier you believe मैं मेरे पिताजी, मेरा बच्चा, मेरी wife is a promoter. No, the definition has significantly expanded, and any of the close relatives who is holding the share becomes a promoter, and there is a lot of restrictions on promoter holding. So, for example, pre-IPO and 12 months post-IPO, the promoters which is defined in the RHP document can't sell their shares for next 12 months. So it's very important to carve out an IPO in such a way that all those planning need to be done so that tomorrow when you need to have a robust things, it can be planned well. KPI identification and data availability is most key, and which is handed over directly to the consultant, which is not right thing. So as an IPO, and as Raghav said, storytelling. IPO क्यों आपके कंपनी में कोई पैसा डालेगा? There has to be storytelling, and in storytelling, KPI is most important. Why you are doing an IPO? What you will do out of these funds? Where you will deploy these funds? How much you are taking to your home? How much you are investing in company? Why your valuation is better off as compared to the markets? P ratio, share market में तो मेरे हिसाब से सब पैसा लगाते होंगे ये तो P ratio ये concept every one of you are aware. So before IPO, why you should get a better off P ratio as compared to the markets? How better off go in the market and get a better rate? So there is all road shows, etc. But before road show, storytelling is important. 2 people should get convinced about your story. One is you, yourself, in any shape and form. And second, definitely your advisor who is advising you. He should get convinced to your story कि ये story बिकनी है. Index conversion, which is a nightmare for the finance teams. आपके किस finance के लोगों को पूछोगे accounts, अपने accounts अप्रैल में sign होते हैं? नहीं, सितंबर में ही होते हैं. तो उसके साथ ये Index, which is an IFRS equivalent, which is mandated for any IPO in India, is a nightmare for most of the finance teams. And I can tell you, when I visited a lot of steel plants and so they are not aware of an Index. So it has to be early planned well, so that they are aware equally what is Index and how convergence happen. And last 3 years, your all financial statements are restated. That's a mandatory thing from an IPO perspective. Next 2-3 slides, I will just cover up on the structuring part. So for example, how an existing structure can be converted into an IPO related structure from your friends and family. किसको कब exit देना है? At times अपने इसमें structure में there are 4 or 5 family members, किसी को 2%, किसी को 5%, ये सब equity shares are there. So it need to be planned well, because what happens, I will tell you. So for example, you give an exit to, so एक बुआ जी के पास 5% शेयर इस कंपनी के है, example, and you don't want them to be forming part of an IPO. But whenever you sell the shares or give them exit, उनको टैक्स लगता है. वो शेयर्स आए थे उनके पास 10 रुपए में, आज वो 500 रुपए के शेयर्स है, उनको एग्जिट देना है तो उनके अकाउंट में टैक्स आएगा. Because you are selling those shares, and immediately that cash need to be paid. Now it has to be structured well. So all those structuring is possible, wherein tax neutral कैसे करें और best of the tax efficient way में कैसे IPO में जाए. Because what at times happen, a promoter और एक owner को IPO चाहिए, but ये सारे planning पहले अगर नहीं किए तो middle of the IPO they face problem, or at the end of the IPO that time they can't do anything क्योंकि IPO में जाना और additional खर्चा होता है. तो पहले पूरा better planning करके किया हुआ is always better from an IPO. But this is a tool where जो भी आपको लोगों को exit देना है तो आप दे सकते हो. जरूरी नहीं आपने को सबको आगे लेके जाना है, स्ट्रक्चर में लेके जाना है तो वेल एंड गुड. सो लार्जली अगर आप देखोगे टैक्सेस को ध्यान रखना पड़ता है. स्टैम्प ड्यूटी is something which is applicable in this, and lot of accounting aspects. From if you see my 19th bullet point, okay, I put a very large range of 3% to 12%. I've seen even 2%. What does that mean? So for example, your company is valued as per valuation 2,000 crore, and minimum now there is a threshold that 25% of your equity आपको dilute करना पड़ता है. तो 2000 का 25% dilute करना है means 500 crores हो गया. So 500 crores का 2%, 3%, 10%, all those cost is there, which includes everything. 18 महीने के सारे consultant, सारे company, NSE, BSE मिलके खर्चा है. The more the smaller the size of an IPO, SME IPO में 8-10, 5-10, 8-10, 12% जाता है. Main board means if your valuation is more than 1,000 crores plus, company का valuation, the cost goes down below 5, 4, 5, 6%. इतना अभी market में rate चल रहा है, but it's there. And I can tell you, Raghav gave an example of Motilal Oswal or boutique firms, etc. So India में HDFC is one of the most stringent. The bankers, Motilal Oswal, I will rate in between a decent size firms. So जो भी new size firms जैसे मोतीलाल ओसवाल, IIFL, ये वो सब कोटक विटक जो आप सुन रहे हो, these are still a balanced mid-size bankers and the boutique firms. So it totally depend कि हमें IPO कितना बड़ा लेके जाना है. So anything between 300, 400 crore valuation, 2,000, 1,500 crores, you can go with the boutique firms. If you want to go for an IPO of 5,000 crore plus, then definitely you need multiple merchant bankers. क्योंकि उतना उनका commitment रहता है. So as a merchant banker, they sign off along with you that I have checked everything and everything is fine. Auditors तो सिर्फ financial statement related सारी चीजें check करेंगे, which is 80% of the IPO. But merchant banker does every other things also कि उनको deep diligence करना होता है. And hence auditor and merchant banker both becomes a crucial. But the advisor who advise you to accumulate and collect everyone together and answer to all is key person from your IPO perspective. So key learnings and mistakes from a lot of other IPOs which you need to clarity नहीं है. Within a minute I will do. There is no clarity or which gets at a later point of time. It takes huge time from an IPO perspective. Other regulatory risk etc. काफ़ी आ जाते हैं. From a mindset change perspective, you have a lot of things what need to be done. And I think so corporate governance. If you are going for an IPO, my humble request is there would be significant change in your corporate structure. You can't issue checks right, left, center as you are doing now, considering our own money. Later it's a public money. And hence that's very crucial to know. I think so structuring considerations we discussed. Okay. The last slide and the last point what I want to discuss on, you need to be clear on objective of an issue, which I think so we started as a discussion. What you will do with these funds, that is most important. And that is a storytelling in an IPO which is required. So first is long-term working capital requirement है या value creation करके घर पे पैसा लेके जाना है. Second is whether you need it for investment in a subsidiary or more expansion, brand building, new expansion plan within the plants, general corporate purpose, repayment of existing loan is also allowed if you are planning to go for an IPO perspective, and how to meet the expenses of an IPO. I thought let me speak about IPO first and then about me and my firm. That is what I thought. So we are a CA firm having 850 people across India. We do all non-traditional CA practice, which includes sustainability also. We are a 20 years old firm. Most of the partners in the firm were working in Big Four, PwC, EY, over last 20 odd years. And we are a full stack firm. Overall, from digital transformation to sustainability, to IPO, to taxation, to internal audit, to statutory audit, valuation to startup is something what we do. And why we do this is what we believe a company requires a right set of consultant who can provide all things under one roof so that they need not find different people for different types of services. And hence, as a firm, we try to provide best of the solutions for our client. And a few of the clients across India where we work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chandanji, for a very detailed and comprehensive presentation about IPOs. It's a topic very close to my heart as well. So thank you so much for that. To take the conversation forward, I would like to ask a few questions. When do you think, or how would you gauge whether a company is truly IPO ready as of now? And then, you can go ahead with all of the processes that you just said. When do you think that is the case?
So from an IPO perspective, I think so. Mindset is most important, I think so. If you are clear in your mindset कि मुझे IPO में जाना है और मुझे IPO में I need to go for these 2 reasons or 1 reason. That's the first most important part. Don't be and don't do from a FOMO perspective. ये FOMO word जो Gen Z अपने सबके बच्चे हैं, उनको हम Gen Z बोलते हैं. FOMO इनमें सबसे ज़्यादा चलता है. इसने किया तो मुझे भी करना है. इसने ये चीज़ ली है तो मुझे भी करनी है. तो FOMO में IPO नहीं करना चाहिए is my first humble request and suggestions to all. Second, from a IPO readiness perspective, आज अपनी जो कंपनी है, where we have from our the generations and including us, हमने जिस पे काम किया है, ये कंपनी को हम अपने आप से डिटैच कर सकते हैं. See, one is me as an individual. Second, it's a company where public money will come. So I need to ensure when public money is coming in this company, I need to ensure a corporate governance. अगर मैं मेरी salary ले रहा हूँ उस इसमें, it has to be reasonable. If I'm doing transaction between my related parties, it has to be reasonable. My personal expenses are not sitting in company. If the mindset change is there, then I think so 90% of the battle is won because all other work can be done by the consultants.
Thank you so much. Actually, हमने भी बहुत बार ये चीज़ देखा है, mindset बहुत difficult है. Proper financial reporting करना, पूरे ढंग से profit दिखाना. हमारे पास बहुत सारे investors बहुत इस तरीके के questions भी लेके आते हैं कि भाई आपने ये वाली गाड़ी कंपनी में क्यों खरीद ली? या ये हमारे ऑडिटर्स हमसे पूछते हैं कि आप यहाँ दुबई गए थे या आप कंपनी की वजह से गए थे या पर्सनल गए थे, एक दिन आप अकेले घूमे कि नहीं घूमे? So these kind of questions also come into play. There has to be a strict discipline on what is personal, what is related to the company, and it gets bifurcated that way completely. Before we go on to further questions, we have a video presentation by Mr. Puneet Paliwal. So if that can be played for the audience, thank you.
Hello, everyone. First, I want to apologize for not being able to be a part of this uh, wonderful event. A medical emergency in my family meant that I must present remotely. I really appreciate your understanding and especially the flexibility that the organizers have shown in terms of allowing me to present at this event virtually. I'm grateful to be a part of this very important conversation. And I would encourage all of you to reach out to me in case you find any of the content that I'm going to present interesting, and if you'd like to discuss it further. Today, I'll talk about why financing is a decisive factor in green steel transition, which projects get built, with stall, and how lenders and sponsors are thinking about risks. I'll keep this practical and forward looking in the upcoming slides. So moving on to the next slide. So this is just a quick overview of my presentation. So I'll start with a quick overview of a capacity backdrop, how steel capacities are growing and shrinking in various parts of the world. Then we will cover who invests and typical financing structures. Next, what makes green steel projects bankable from a lender's perspective. And finally, the often overlooked aspect of barriers to exit that keep excess capacity hanging around across major geographies. So I'll start with my presentation. So just to start off, a very short note on why I'm speaking from experience. So many of you know CRU. Some of you might not, but CRU is the leading authority when it comes to green steel related projects that are being developed across the world. CRU has advised on several large financing and due diligence mandates. For instance, a lender market advisor role for a green steel project, which ended up raising 6.5 billion euros for a company called Stegra, a due diligence project on an iron ore financing of around 1.9 billion US dollars, and a number of advisory works that we have done on electric arc furnace, DRI, HBI projects in Europe, the GCC, and in various parts of Africa. These mandates have given us a real deal level visibility on what lenders and sponsors actually require. So first, I'll start with the big picture. So what you're seeing in front of you is a contrast between 2010 and 2025 in terms of regional divergence, especially when it comes to steel capacities. Broadly speaking, advanced economies have reduced crude steel capacity, while emerging markets have added capacity during this period. This actually changes where projects get financed and how lenders view country risks and political exposure. So when we talk about green projects, we must always tie them back to their regional context. If we zoom in, the stories differ. China and India follow different growth dynamics to the EU and the United States. The Middle East and Southeast Asia, they show especially strong capacity additions. And most of these capacity additions are often linked to integrated strategies around energy and downstream demand. That matters, again, because lenders treat each region's political, market, and supply risks very differently. Now, moving on to an example of how we go about with this lender market advisory, especially when it comes to projects on the green steel side. So I'll take an example of Europe because this was one of the biggest projects that we undertook. Long story short, policy is a key accelerator. In EU, many of the DRI EAF investments are concentrated from about 2030 and onwards, partly a response to the carbon framework, like the carbon border adjustment mechanism that the region has come out with. However, there's a nuance. Some projects aim for green hydrogen on day one. Others plan on a staged transition away from natural gas DRI. That creates both opportunity and timing risk, particularly for financiers. So you can't just assume that it's going to be a straight line rollout in these markets. Every project has a different dynamic playing out, especially in terms of their plans of commissioning, their project scheduling, and in terms of the technology that's going to be incorporated. Having said that, the lenders usually tend to stress test projects against carbon price pathways. This deck, particularly the cost curves that you're seeing, show how rising carbon costs and phase out of free allowances by 2035 push EAF routes up to the competitiveness ladder relative to the blast furnace basic oxygen furnace based steel making route. So practically, this means that project models need multiple carbon scenarios, and lenders will want to see how resilient a project is under these different futures. So how CRU helps out and how this whole lending exercise is undertaken. So first of all, let's just think about who ends up writing that check. It ranges basically from country to country, from region to region, but usually it involves the national governments and multilateral organizations like the development banks, the World Bank, or various other multilateral lending agencies. There are instances where commercial banks have been involved, and there are corporate sponsors as well. Now, in terms of financing options, these include corporate balance sheet financing, project finance for greenfield starts, and hybrid structures. Typical debt level that we have seen in many of the project financing activities is in the range of 40 to 60%. But structure depends on the sponsor's credibility and the country risk, which we talked about earlier. Now, there are three approaches or three common strategic routes, particularly into financing steel projects in various parts of the world. The first of these strategic routes is an asset out strategy, or which is commonly called a build first approach. It basically involves a high upfront capital expenditure, longer ramp up, but potential scale advantage. Now, the second strategy that we usually encounter, especially amongst these financing projects, is a market in strategy, which starts downstream. That is, the project owner will first start investing in a downstream project, be it coating or be it distribution, and builds customer relationships first. They are then quicker to the market, but they have limited control on the supply at the very start. But they eventually backward integrate and have better control on supply as well. Now, the third approach, which we have witnessed, especially in terms of new projects, is that there have been instances of either a restructuring or a turnaround. So
basically, some assets are taken
over, and it essentially requires a very low upfront cost, but is reliant on a very on the opportunistic assets. So basically, if somebody, if an investor is taking over an existing asset and turning it around, although the upfront cost may be low, but the opportunities will depend on the health or the quality of the asset that has been taken over. Each of these approaches implies different financing emphasis. There are covenant tightness, and at the same time, how much offtake security is required is one of the biggest questions that arise, especially in terms of project financing in such projects. Now, from a lender's perspective, if I have to put together a checklist from a lender's perspective, first and foremost, the lender is looking at location and proximity to demand centers, especially in terms of when we look at the first or second quartile position on the global cost curve, especially in terms of delivered cost, the access to low-cost energy, especially renewables or green hydrogen, a confirmed feedstock and logistical agreements that should be entered into in a very robust manner, a strong sponsor with a very good track record, and commercial de-risking, such as a 5 to 7 years take or pay offtakes or for a meaningful share of the output. Importantly, lenders want evidence. You can either capture a green premium or are insulated from carbon is required, especially when we are talking about green steel projects, because high risk projects, because the technology is evolving every other day. Having said that, one final point that often gets very less airtime is that excess capacity is not only about new entrants, it's also about barriers to exit. So closure cost, particularly when it comes to aspects like economy or environmental, social, and political pressures that can come through. There can be some labor union issues, and national pride is a big concern in several major economies that we have seen. So basically, national pride it disallows plants or the plants which are not profitable to keep functioning because economies of scale or jobs depend on it. Now, if we want a cleaner, more efficient sector, we need joined up policies, socialized closure costs, retaining programs, and clear transition roadmaps, so that for a lender, the exit becomes feasible and it is fair. So these are some of the biggest considerations that are given in this market, especially when it comes to financing. And as I mentioned earlier, green steel projects are still a bit of a gray area and are high risk investments from a lender's perspective. So it requires significant due diligence, and every project has its own caveats that need to be looked into. So there is not a single solution for everything that we do in terms of green steel financing. Especially in our experience at CRU, we have seen multiple unrelated challenges emerging in all the projects that we have undertaken. So to wrap it all up, financing decisions are not just and not just technology choice will decide which green steel projects are delivered at scale. Sponsors need to align strategies, secure long-term energy and offtake contracts, and be transparent on emissions and costs. Lenders will continue to require strong commercial mitigation, credible sponsors, and policy clarity. With this, I close my presentation. Thank you so much for your patience with my remote delivery. I would have really liked to be a part of this conversation in person, but I'm happy to take any questions in case you want to email me or reach out to me separately. Thank you so much again to the organizers for giving me this opportunity. With this, I close this session. Thank you so much.
So that was Punitji's presentation. Before we move to the audience Q&A, I have just one last question to ask Chandanji. Chandanji, coming back to the topic of IPOs and green capital and how to transform family companies to a public company, what do you think are the biggest challenges in converting a family-run business or a partnership firm for that matter into a public company before the IPO?
I think so. Some parts I covered in my presentation, but I'll break this into two parts. One is from a tax structure perspective, it is important that you structure it well so that there are a lot of tax. You don't end up paying a lot of tax. So there are structures which are available through which individual partnership firms can be converted to private limited and then the public limited from a tax structure perspective. Otherwise, there is no, otherwise it doesn't make sense to convert other than tax saving from a structure perspective. From a mindset perspective, it is important that you should start run that company as, I would say, a good corporate governance and a company which is run with a mindset that you are running it on behalf of others. You are a promoter of that company and not the sole owner. You are a promoter, not the sole owner. With that as a mindset, it need to be done. And the independent directors who are coming on the board, they are coming to give a value. So they should be also heard. Otherwise, in the board meetings, the owner will drive the show. Our own kids, family members will listen. But I think it's most important that a due credit is given to the independent directors so that they can give a lot of value to the company. That are the shift paradigm what one need to look into it.
Thank you so much, Chandanji. Now I open the floor to the audience. If you have any questions for me and Chandanji, that we could assist you. Mic over there.
Hello. Very insight, information. My question is, foreign companies with their subsidiaries office, can they can register themselves for this thing?
Yes, possible, practically possible, because if it's a foreign company subsidiary in India, they might be holding 99.99 and 1% share. That's normally the structure in India because there should be two shareholders. In that case, it just, the foreign company need to dilute 25% of their equity in India. That's a minimum criteria. And as of now, in steel or such manufacturing, all sectors, it's open. There are very limited sectors where the foreign players are not allowed and there are some restrictions. But those are into defense, etc. But from a steel perspective or other general manufacturing, there are no restrictions.
How old should be the company?
So any company from, so SME IPO, it can be just even 3-4 years old company, that's fine. From a main board perspective, minimum last 3 years financials are required.
Thank you.
That is done.
Thank you.
Hello, Chandanji. Your presentation was very insightful and very contextual also, because a lot of people here who are into steel industry, most of them, and some of them also planning to file for an IPO. I have just one question, that is from a professional point of view and from a long-term point of view, what would you suggest to your client with respect to listing? Whether should the person go for a listing at a SME platform and vis-a-vis the main platform. So could you just elucidate on the trade-off between the two?
So from an SME perspective and an mainboard perspective, the game is numbers, nothing else. Everyone will want to be in mainboard because there is a trading happening in a mainboard. So if your shares are listed on BSE, NSE on the mainboard, trading definitely happens as compared to an SME IPO. The tradings happen very limited in an SME IPO. That's point number one. Point number two, from a listing perspective. So for example, you are just a 25, 50, 100 crores turnover. Here I am meaning, and we are not discussing about any other numbers. It's always preferred to go for an SME IPO because there are criteria and thresholds in a mainboard IPO. But if you are anything above 300 or crores turnover wise company, very easily mainboard is possible because 300 crore hai to 500 crore ke upar to valuation aana hai. Correct? Because you have some decent number of profits. I'm talking about some 10, 15 crores plus PAT jiska hai. So multiple of 30 at a PAT level. So seedha that becomes 300 plus crore valuation. So directly mainboard is possible.
One question. Yeah, one question on this, one follow-up question on this, that like steel basically by its nature is a blow hot, blow cold by nature. I'll give you a small anecdote. If you walk into a garden here at ITC Grand and there are two benches, one is a wooden one is a steel one. On a sunny day or on a winter day, you will always sit on the wooden bench. You will not necessarily take a steel bench because on a sunny day it will be very hot and otherwise it will be very cold. Same is the nature of the steel market also. So there's so much of volatility. So in that, how do you, maneuver yourself through this mayhem of cyclical syndrome in the steel industry with respect to steel companies?
I think so. There are few companies which are cyclical in nature and they are listed. So take a sugarcane. Sugarcane industry is a cyclical in nature. If you see in India, anything between 90 days to 130 days are maximum the factories is open. Steel factories are open for 365 days. That's point number one. From your cyclical perspective, the numbers might change on a quarterly basis. But as a valuation which is done at an annual basis, those things are factored. So, and there are many more. Quick Heal as an example, whenever it came for an IPO, if you see their balance sheet for last 15 years, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3 loss, quarter 4 profit, 50% of the turnover. Because they are into a model where yearly money comes to them and the accounting wise, everything sits in quarter 4. Same is for sugarcane industry. The production, supply and revenue recognition are in different quarters. So market factor all those and accordingly it's done.
Thank you, everyone. Any other questions? No? Okay. Okay. So now I would like to invite Vinayji, Director MRAI, to felicitate the speaker on the dais. Thank you.
Hello, hello. A gala dinner will start from 7:30 with a band and a magical night. 7 o'clock. So please enjoy. Thank you.